Hey guys, you know what comes after an argument? Nope, not makeup sex. Not in our house, but we did have a very adult-like conversation. We're very proud of it, and we're going to share it with you guys today on this episode.
If you've tuned in to see if you can argue with your spouse and still be madly in love, you're in the right spot.
I'm Kent.
And I'm Annie.
And we're the Kilkos. Sound like a game show.
We're your host of Life's Little Arguments. We're not trained experts in love and marriage. Actually, we might be quite dysfunctional, but we have been happily married for 16 years.
Debatable.
Not only will we share all the ups and downs of marriage, but the ins and outs of raising his and her kids, growing through new jobs and opportunities, and our latest obsession, our empty nest babies, our dogs, Blakely and Lincoln.
So if you hear ding, ding, ding across the microphone, they're probably walking across the floor.
Listen in each week while we discuss our life, current events, random TikToks, and the little arguments that undoubtedly come up. Whether you're in a long-term relationship yourself or in a fresh new relationship, we hope you find our podcast fun, entertaining, and helps you realize there is a normal in life's little arguments. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, I'm not going to step on her. I might roll on her. Hey, guys.
What's up, everybody?
How's it going?
It only took 10 episodes for Annie to let me do the intro, so hope y'all enjoy that. That'll probably be my last shot at it, I'm guessing.
Probably. So, no, makeup sex is just, I'm just not into makeup sex. It's just not my thing. I guess it's just because we probably talked about it a little bit before. Sorry, I was putting chapstick on. Because I just don't let go of things quickly enough.
That's true. It's like 2 or 3 days later, and then at that point, it's no longer makeup sex.
Yeah, it's just
good
sex
old
at that
love
point.
making. The good old love making.
But I do feel like we have taken a step in our communication. Like we sort of I feel like we were adulting real hard.
And I'm telling you, after we had the conversation, we talked a little bit more about it. I swear, I think this podcast helps with that. I really and truly do, because I feel like that. We can talk about things on here, and we can talk about things we're going to talk about without you getting defensive. And I think that that's a big part of our ability to communicate.
You get defensive these days, too.
Agreed.
You get defensive more these days than you ever have gotten defensive before.
Without us getting defensive. And I think that that's a big breakthrough with our communication.
Yeah, and I think the fight that happened prior to the adult communication was actually much less as well. I think it was tempered down.
Because it wasn't really a fight, but sure, we'll talk about it today.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You're annoying, so that's
a fight.
That was a fight.
Life's little arguments. We didn't say life's big arguments. We said life's little arguments.
True.
And we're sharing
that's a true
the big,
statement.
the small, and
That's
everything in
statement.
between. So.
Well, so we've been doing a lot of things. We didn't really talk about it, I don't feel like, last week, but we went to a party last weekend, right?
Right.
Do you remember where we went?
Talking about Joe's?
No.
What?
Weekend before that.
Of course I remember. Why don't you tell them about it?
Exactly. I knew. My God. I don't understand.
Wait, you talking about 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Oh, at the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so we didn't really talk about that.
At the Barnuminium. I don't know if we say names or not.
No, let's not say any names.
Yeah, super cool pad.
Yeah.
I mean, like if I had a dream house, this is it. Backyard, barn, bar, everything.
Yeah, it
Beautiful.
was very beautiful. It's like a little mini resort is what you feel like. I had posted a little video. I was on the swing. They had like 3 individual little swings, and they're like just beautiful, perfect little swings. And I did a little video on that and kind of showed it a little bit. But yeah, that's like hashtag goals. Like that was really pretty. But the reason I'm talking about it is like we've done a lot of things recently. So we did that, and where we went, I only knew the group that we went with, and we all kind of caravanned out there together because I think most of us felt probably the same way. So here I am going into a situation where I don't really know anybody, and you know how that typically turns out for me.
Would you say that most of our friend group, like the core friend group, would you say most are extroverts or introverts?
That's a good question. I think it's probably 50-50. I think it's split pretty 50-50. I don't know that they're quite as introverted as I am, but they're not on your level.
Yeah.
I think there's like a good sprinkle in between. There may be 1 to 2, one in particular, that's on, I think, you.
Okay.
In the female version. She's the female version of you, I feel like. And then...
NB, shout out. You talking about NB? No.
Yes,
No,
Nicole knows that. Nicole, we talk
we
about
even
that.
say you're the female version of me. But the reason why I asked that question is because I noticed that when we go places, our group often ends up sitting together, and like we ended up like basically by the hot tub or whatever.
Yeah.
And I noticed
Didn't
it like no
interact
matter
with anybody else.
right. That's it. Like no matter where we go, that always ends up happening. And then I'm kind of the lone wolf out here going and talking to everyone, and so I asked.
I did good.
No, I was very proud of you.
I went out on my own.
I saw you at 3 or 4 different places.
On my own to introduce myself.
Look at you.
To Danny's.
Yeah. Jill, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
To his wife, girlfriend, baby mama. And I was like patting myself on the back. I'm like, good for you, Annie. Of you.
I saw you in 3 or 4 different locations.
And I don't think I was not tipsy because I think I had 2 drinks. Like I just wasn't in a drinking mood. And so that was like me. That was like really me doing that.
You
so
haven't
that's
been
kind
in
of a big deal.
Big drinking mood lately. Is it because you're saving up for the keys? Is that what it
No,
is?
I just have like zero.
Yeah.
I don't have a desire for it at all. I don't like before. I feel like I would be like, oh my God, I want a glass of wine so bad, or give me a mimosa, or I've been at the store all week. It's Saturday. I'm freaking ready to get the hell out of here and give me a drink.
And now that you can drink anytime you want, you're like,
I guess so. Yeah. It's just like I've had zero desire for it.
It can be a lot.
Don't
it can be a
want
lot.
It at all.
Especially over the summer, because I feel like the opportunities to do it are like endless. Like everywhere we look, we can go to lunch and grab drinks. We get pool parties, we're grabbing drinks. It's like, so I think it can be a little bit much too. Once the summer's over with, I think that kind of starts to dwindle down a little bit. So.
Does it? Because I feel like that the summer's over means football's going on. And
yeah,
that
but
means
then that's
like,
a Saturday.
Then it's like we go to pumpkin patches and we go to wineries.
Well, damn, now that you say all that.
So is it really going to die down? Anyway, it's not a problem. I just think I'm trying to figure out how I still have a really good time without drinking, or because typically I would have enough to drink, or one drink basically, get me a little loosey goosey just to take the edge off, just so I can
what she
relax.
really means by this is just so she can tolerate me is what she's getting at. But go ahead.
Well, that we'll talk about that in a minute, but I just to just take a little bit of the RBF off, I feel like. And so I'm trying, and so I'm not just, I have zero desire to drink whatsoever. Nothing sounds good, I think, is probably the other thing. Like nothing sounds like it would taste good. And so I'm trying to figure out how do I do that. And I think the way that you do that is you like do the whole California sober thing, I think is what I need to be doing. But I'm not branching out to that.
You mean like the fake drinks?
No, I mean like weed. That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. Well, that too. But they make these non-alcoholic drinks that are supposed to make you feel great without being drunk or without alcohol. We hadn't had them yet.
No, because I feel like they're really expensive. So
they are. But if you drank 2 or 3 of them and you really liked them, they're no more expensive than going to a restaurant and getting 2 or 3 drinks.
I guess I should maybe try that and see.
I don't know. I'm interested myself.
I would be interested to see, does it psychologically really do something and really have some sort of mood lifter that helped out. So anyway, so we did that. That was very people-y. I got outside my comfort zone, I feel like, and spoke to a couple of people that I normally would just hang back. If you introduced me or you were there or I came up to you and you were talking, sure. But to just kind of on my own, which you were within a 6-foot distance. So I felt like if I needed you, you were within my radius that I could grab you.
Jump over there if I need to.
Right.
Instead of leaving you in the corner, like get stuck in a conversation.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So.
See, I learned my lesson. That's called adulting.
Did you though?
Yeah, I'm not going to let that happen again.
So you had a really good time there.
I hurt my knee, but yeah.
I didn't drink like you did. And
rarely am I not going to have a good time.
That is a true statement.
And that's just my thought is if we went somewhere, we put in the effort to go somewhere, I'm going to have a good time. I love being around people. You know that. I love talking to people that I don't. Now, here's
But you weren't talking to people that you don't know. You were literally just pretty much with our group of people.
No,
do you feel like you ventured out?
I feel like for the first half, yeah. In the second half, once everyone kind of ended up in the hot tub, kind of sitting around chatting, after I was doing my backflips and so forth, I ended up kind of gravitating towards the group. But I feel like I was roaming the house and talking to different. I felt like I was. Hell, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it's just normal for me.
Yeah. Well, so then what else have we done? I feel like we've gone out to dinner several times. maybe with the group or with people. And then football.
Yeah.
We didn't,
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
First half was a little slow, as expected. Facebook was like ripping Bobo. I'm like, I mean, of course, his play calling has always been a little bit more conservative, but I'm like, guys, literally, it's the first half of the first game, new players in key positions, and it's like you have to develop some timing, you have to develop some rhythm, and that's how you do that, is to run those simple kind of plays. And then in the second half, to me, that is what separates Kirby and the Sabins. I mean, that's what separates the absolute best coaches in the game, is when and I don't know what they say. I would pay anything if somebody could record the Sabins and the Kirbys and stuff like that, and what they say at halftime, they could make millions of dollars. Because I guarantee you, Kirby's probably not in there getting in people's asses. Saban's probably not getting in people's asses because the effort is there, but they are just so strategic about what they do at halftime, and it happens time and time and time again. Georgia have a bad first half or a decent first half, and then they just explode in the second half. And Alabama's the same way. How many times have we thought we're going to beat Alabama and then damn, shitheads come back and, you know what I mean? Like it is what makes the great coaches great, and I love seeing it.
And so it was a good football day. It wasn't like the football time. Like the football time it's like 70, 72 degrees. We can open all the doors, the windows, the wind is blowing. Like that is my favorite.
But I did see that leaves are starting to change. They're starting to fall. So maybe Mother Nature knows something we don't know.
I don't feel like we have leaves that change colors. I think they just go from green to brown and die.
Well, from green to brown is a color change. Just enough.
I don't consider brown like
you're
that.
You're talking about the reds
brown
and the yellows.
Brown on a tree is not a color. Brown, when I wear it, is a color.
Yeah.
But on the tree, it is not.
But yes, we don't have like what you guys had up in Ohio.
Yeah.
And the Appalachians.
The Appalachia. I missed that. So then we went over at halftime.
Yeah.
To Joe and Renee's and did a little pool party hangout there. And that's where, after the game was over, is when I think you finally were like, okay, I can relax a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and I was doing some work during some of that, the beginning part of it. So once that was done, I felt like, okay, now I can kind of let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've been working on a contract for 2 or 3 days now, and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen, or I thought it was going to happen, and then it didn't happen, and so forth. So the fact that I was like finally done with it, everything was submitted, we're good to go. Okay, now I can relax a little bit. So that was probably it as much as the football game.
And when you relax, you have no problem relaxing.
L-I-V-I-N, baby. Like McConaughey says.
And I was drinking. So what I did this time is I just did my Tito's and vodka in my water.
We have, listen.
I don't think we talked about Tito's and vodka.
98, not even, I'd say at least 98, if not 99% of the time, I order drinks for Andy. Like we go to a bar.
I am an idiot. Like when if I have to go without him and they're like, what do you want to drink? I'm like, I don't know. My husband always orders it.
And then listen, don't make her have to leave a tip, because for whatever reason, her math skills go to 0 when she has to leave a tip.
That's only when you're there. When you are not there, I'm like, boom, boom, this is what I'm doing. It's fine. But like when you're there, I feel like I second guess myself. But anyway, so I did my...
But anyways, we actually went to a bar one time, and it's the one time she ordered a drink, and she literally said, can I get a vodka and Tito's?
Oh my God.
And the bartender,
so embarrassing.
The bartender looked at me. I looked at the bartender, and I'm like... I'm so sorry. Here's what she wants, and so I gave the order and it was. I think it was at Main Street, wasn't it?
I don't know. No, I feel like
I thought it was a regular bar, but
I don't know. I feel like it was a long time ago, but it definitely that little running joke has stuck with me.
So now
it's always
hey, do you want Tito's and vodka?
Yeah, Tito's and vodka. So I was just doing that with in my water, and then just did some like Crystal Light, some blue raspberry, or I don't know, something like that, and I felt that was a nice even, like it wasn't like a spike high, or it wasn't like I was just tore up.
It was just buzz.
It was just I didn't even know that I feel buzz. It was just a nice,
relax,
even. Yeah. I can have a good time. I can laugh. I cannot really be worried about what you're doing, and enjoy myself. And so I enjoyed that. But hold on, Lincoln, come here.
No, come on. We're gonna hear him sniffing on the mic. Lincoln's up in her lap now, so if you hear Lincoln.
Yeah, we're so professional. Our babies are in here always. So God, what was I talking about?
You were feeling so good.
Yes,
So, yeah.
and then it was time to go. Or I at that point, no, somewhere throughout the evening, I realized, okay, you're about to be on a new level. Like you were approaching that particular.
I had not started singing yet, though. I'm on a new level. I had not started singing
that
that
is
yet.
true. That is true. That is true. And so you weren't getting on my nerves, but I was like, okay, you need something to eat. You probably have not eaten anything. And so I went and made you something to eat, and you ate a little bit more. But then it was finally like, it's time to go. And we get home. But once we get home, it's just, I don't really know what happened.
Can I interject here?
Yeah.
I think there's something about, a lot of times, not every time, but I think there's something about.
This is where the argument started, by the way.
So I think that I would say probably 7 out of 10 times, there's something about you just don't like when I drink that much. And regardless of if I'm a jerk, regardless of if I'm whatever, I could be the nicest person in the world and not do anything, say anything, whatever. And I think sometimes you're just going to get pissed. It's kind of like when you drive. The rare times that you drive, I'm a terrible backseat passenger. I get it. But there are times where I might not even say anything. I might just raise my hand and touch the dashboard.
That's enough.
And you fucking flip out. And
right,
it's like,
because I know what's going through your head. Like,
right, but you have made up your mind. This is what I'm trying to get at. I think sometimes you have made up your mind that that's the direction it's going to go regardless. And I think that's probably a little bit maybe what happened on Saturday.
Maybe.
Was that you had already made your mind up that if I was drunk, they say, here, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I think that that's where it kind of started. And your mood changes instantly when you made up your mind, by the way.
Well, I don't think that I've made up my mind. I think I've just experienced it enough that it just irritates the piss out of me. I'm like, why? Why do you have to get to this point where it makes me feel like that? Like, why? It triggers me in some way, shape, or form. I don't know why. There's probably something much deeper going on, and I don't know why there would be, but it's triggering me somehow. And so when you get to that point, I'm just like, fuck it.
So let's talk about this. Was I around everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're around everybody but me.
No, we were all together. We were literally in the same pool.
I think that's probably part of what some of the point, though.
Okay.
Some of the point is like you are around, and I'm also in the pool around.
We're saying
but
we talked through this, and I feel like we're about to argue again. This is the direction this is going. By the way.
No, we're not going to do that. So
I was around.
Yes,
but I'm not acting obnoxious.
You're not. But tell me, did we speak at all?
I mean, I don't know that I specifically.
Besides, until I got you once you got there, and you gave me a kiss when you got there, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then I made you a burrito.
A while into it, because I was working for the first half that I was there.
Right. Did we speak?
We didn't sit and have a full conversation, no.
Did we speak?
Yeah, I came and said hey to you. I gave you a kiss.
Okay,
I was like, hey, babe, I'm going to go to work.
After that kiss, and in between getting the burrito, from that time until the burrito time, did we speak?
I would say not any more than I spoke to anyone else. How about that?
No.
Okay.
We did not speak.
Okay, fair. Let's say we did not speak. Is this a one-way street or a two-way street?
It is a one-way street.
Okay. And that one way is I'm the one.
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Noted.
Because you are the extrovert. You are the social butterfly.
You can't say that shit. I'm your husband. Well, there's no introvert extrovert with each other, dork.
No, there is.
That's not the
there
way
still
it works.
is. Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
No, that's.
Yes.
You know me better than anybody, and I know you better than anyone. So how are you going to tell me there's an introvert and extrovert with each other? That's nonsense.
That is still my nature to, like, not be that social butterfly like you are.
Okay. Fair. So anyhow, let's say I didn't speak, whatever. So just so you know.
So he doesn't speak. He doesn't speak.
And just so you know.
But he's speaking to other people.
Hold on. Let's set the tone here.
Let's
set the tone here. What normally happens when we go to places is Annie will kind of hunker down somewhere, and she'll find her little people, and they'll hunker down, and she'll be there and can be perfectly content sitting in one spot for 3 hours. Me, I'm going to be walking everywhere. I'm going to be talking to everyone. I'm going to be, playing games. I'm going to be doing everything other than sitting in one spot. It is almost impossible for me to sit in one spot. So at this pool party, Annie found her spot next to her people, she stayed in
I disagree. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I didn't. And the only reason I am going to go hard right here is because I did not. I absolutely was not.
Okay.
Typically that is a true statement.
Okay.
I did not. I was up. I was around. I was moving. I talked to several different people.
So do you feel like past experiences sometimes will cause you to say, so for example, let's say I had talked to you. Let's say that we, whatever. And do you think that sometimes when you think, okay, here he's doing the same thing he always does, do you think that sometimes that creeps into your head and it affects maybe, okay, you start looking for things or start thinking things differently?
No.
You don't?
No.
Like it's like a preconceived notion. You don't think that's the case at all?
I mean, I suppose, sure.
Okay.
I suppose that could be the case.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Do you think that it's possible that because that typically happens, that I might have some preconceived notions that, hey, I'm not used to going and sitting and talking with her in the same spot, so maybe that's just why I didn't do it? I don't know. I'm trying to think through. Like, the idea of me not coming and talking to you is just, like, foreign to me. Like
I don't know why it would be foreign to you because that is how it goes.
In a setting, like in a group setting you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate this. We didn't talk about this specifically during our fight. So.
We didn't?
No, I think we touched on...
no, can we just say what the fight was? Because we didn't really say what the fight was.
It wasn't really a fight, by the way, guys. Don't get excited.
Well, I left.
If there's no makeup sex, it's not a fight. We just call that a conversation.
We never fight then.
Oh, wow.
We just said earlier we don't do makeup sex. I know. So we get home.
But we do have sex, guys. Let's just be honest.
Okay. So we get home and you are laying on the bed. You've taken your...
Okay, I know where this is going. Okay.
What?
No, go ahead.
You take your swim trunks off. Okay, first of all, also, let me just say, Lauren, this is not the podcast for you. You need to abort right now. And my brother also told me, he's like, you need to send me a trigger warning.
Here's your trigger warning, Aaron.
Because this is TMI for me. I do not want to hear all this stuff. And I was like, oh, sorry. So anyway, I'm not really going to say anything, but you're laying on the bed. I'm like putting stuff away and whatever and fixing to go take my makeup off. You're about
to have a bunch of wives be like, damn it, I thought my husband was the only one who did this. But go ahead. You're about to have a lot of supporters.
Okay, so you're laying on the bed. You've taken your swim trunks off. So you're laying there naked, basically, and you're like, are we going to fuck? And I'm like, no, it's not where my head is right this second. Like, you've not spoken to me the entire day just about, but that's what you think is fixing to happen. No, that's not what's happening. So when I give you that response, what's your response? Oh, hold on. You don't know. Your response was, oh, I bet if it was such and such, you would. And I'm like, where the fuck is that coming from? First of all, that's the one that, like, it sends me from a 0 to a 10 in 1 second. I'm over it. It's done. And so instead of coming back at you, which is what typically I would fly off the handle and like cuss you out, and it would.
That's typical. She's correct.
Instead, I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this. So
she grew up right there.
I did. You know what I did? I grew up for sure because I went and I got my purse and I got my water and my phone and I took my ass and I left. And I took your keys also just in case, like, I'm not making sure you're not trying to do something stupid like start driving. But
that's happened before.
So, and I left and I went and I sat in the Kroger parking lot and I took a nap. And then I came back an hour later. And
so in my mind,
please,
I didn't feel like we were fighting. I didn't feel like we were arguing leading up to that. So me saying, we gonna get it on? Like I didn't, like, there was nothing registering to me that, hey, she's pissed, she's upset, she's whatever, feeling the adjective.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, okay, cool, let's get down.
So this is starting to, the dots are starting to connect. So when you are in that state of mind, because typically you've told this everybody on this podcast, you can read my energy like nothing. Like it is nothing. You, as soon as you're around me, you pick it up immediately.
That's fair.
So what I'm understanding is when you are in that state of mind, there's no reading my energy. You can't. You could not pick up.
That's a great point.
Because had that been the case, you would have picked up on that on the drive home.
That's fair. That's a great point. And I think that there are probably times where it's much more obvious and less obvious. Some to do with you and some to do with whatever state of mind I'm in. And because if I'm more kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of carefree, whatever at the moment, I'm probably less likely to pick up on it. And then of course too, like driving down the road and whatnot is. Because that's always sticky for us anyways, because you don't like to drive. I don't like for you to have to drive, but you already have this tension when you drive anyways. And if I literally, guys, if I put my hand on the dashboard, which I do that with everyone driving,
That's your oh shit. Instead of an oh shit handle, you do an oh shit to the front.
I could be on MGA Lux knowing I have nothing to worry about, and I'm still going to put my hand up when it slows down. Or I see 12 brake lights ahead. I'm automatically going to do that. So there's already this tension, I think, anyway. So I probably thought, okay, she's just, whatever. So I don't, or that you were pissed that you had to drive home. I didn't think it was, he wasn't talking to me. I didn't think it was, we're not about to get it on. That's probably what it was more so than anything.
Yeah.
Because normally your energy is, if Lauren picks up on it too, Jackson's always picked up on it. Like, we walk in a room, damn it. We go out the room. You know what I mean? Like it's normally normally just permeates the room, but
wow.
But it's the fact that all three of us can typically pick up on it. But I guess because of the state of mind, or that I thought you were probably just pissed that you had to drive home or whatever. So
yeah. Well, anyway, we did not get it on. That was an irritating conversation, and it was less the like. You asking me that is like, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But it wasn't really that question. It's what follows that question, which is a smart ass remark. Yeah. And a smart ass remark that to me is like, why would you say that to me? Where in your mind, what makes you say something like that? Because
frustrate. I don't know, frustration.
I've never put you in a situation or been in a situation where it's been questionable. So it blows my mind, and it just pisses me off to no end.
No, I agree. It is probably just frustration, I think, more than anything else. And then it's like, I don't know. I have no answer for it other than, I don't know. Maybe I think deep down, maybe I think it will trigger you. And
well, it damn sure triggers me. It triggers me for damn sure.
And it'll end up turning into, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
How it has never worked out for you.
Not a good approach. Not a good approach.
Yeah.
You would think after 17 plus years, I'd be able to figure that out.
So anyway,
Okay.
So, and honestly, I thought when I left, by the time I came back, I honestly thought you'd just be passed out and asleep for the rest of the night. I really did. That was my expectation. I was expecting to come back and not have to deal with you anymore. But unfortunately, you were still awake, or you woke up, one of the two. I don't know which. And so
I don't think I was as bad off as you were thinking I was.
No. You were not. And so when I got back,
and let's be clear, guys. Like, I don't want y'all to think like I'm a drunk. I drink when we go to parties.
I think your tolerance level is just like, you used to have a much higher, I think, tolerance, and I think your tolerance is just much lower, because you did lose weight, obviously. Yeah. Like, I think that has impacted it.
Perhaps.
You just, and then when you drink,
and I drink fast.
You drink, you drink anything like you're drinking water, and it's like, you can't do that. Like, that's, and then you don't drink water. If you're drinking anything else, you're not drinking anything in between. So I think it just hits you so quickly these days that you don't realize it. You're not out there
and I think
chugging fifths of alcohol or anything like that.
No, and I think the drinking fast thing comes along with my movement at places. Like, because I've told you before, and here's the other problem, and we talked about this when we were communicating, is it's hard for me to stop drinking, because if I stop drinking, I stop moving. If I stop moving, I'm going to go to sleep.
Why? Why do you think you stop moving if you stop drinking? I've yet to see you. The only time you ever stop moving is when you are on the couch.
No, that's what I'm saying. But if,
what makes you think just because you don't have a beer in your hand that you're going to stop moving?
I don't know. It's maybe a habit. I think you even asked, is it the movement? It's kind of like when somebody smokes. I mean, I think it's as much having this movement while they're smoking as much as it is, needing actual nicotine.
And so I feel like, because you say that, you have said that frequently over the years. And I think you have then made this your own preconceived. Like, you've built this up in your head that that's what's going to happen, but you don't know necessarily that that's going to happen.
No, I know for a fact, because when it does happen, that's exactly what happens. And I hate that feeling.
When was the last time that happened?
The last time I fell asleep. I don't know.
Where you fell asleep? No, you fell asleep in the Keys last year at the pool, but I mean, that was a totally different situation. That's not normal. No,
I don't know the answer, like when it happened again, but I don't like that feeling at all, and I don't like coming down from that high. So
I don't have a problem with that, because I don't think that I like that. I don't think most people want to feel that coming down from that. But could we take a slower ascent?
Yeah.
Could we not go straight a 90-degree up the mountain?
Go more Boeing 757 versus F-16
degree?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Damn. That's what I'm asking. Yeah. I need you to. Can we work on that?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so Sunday, once we were, everything was fine, obviously. And then later on the day, I'm like, can we talk about this? And I was extremely mature, again, proud of myself. And you were not really, I think for the most part, you weren't defensive about it. And we were able to have a really good conversation, because we are fixing to go on vacation. And I was like kind of thinking about this, like,
we got to talk about this now.
Yeah, because is this going to make my life miserable for 5 days straight? Because if I am anticipating this happening, there is no amount of alcohol I can drink to get me drunk at that point. Like, if I'm not in the mood to have a little buzz, I can have. It does not matter. It is insane that I can literally.
So when that mood happens, I think sometimes you're expecting me to have that same mood. Now that I'm hearing you say that, I think that contributes to this a little bit. When you're in the mood, I can do no wrong. When you're happy,
I don't know about
when you're
that.
happy, I'm happy. We're all happy. But when you're not in the mood, which is what you just said, there's sometimes you just are not in the mood. And I think that there are times where it's like, it doesn't matter what I say, what I do, how I say it, what I drink, what I don't. There are just times where your mood is going to greatly impact the outcome, no matter what I do. And I think sometimes, and I'm not saying that I'm not in the wrong. I'm not saying that I don't need to do things different or anything like that. But there are times when that happens.
Yeah, that could be, because
and I'm not saying that was Saturday. I'm just saying in general.
No, and it wasn't Saturday, because I do feel like I had what I had to drink, which made me feel just like a good, even kill feel the entire time. And the next day too, I'm like, I feel great. Like, I've had a lot of water. I think that probably helps level it all out. But what you're saying does make some sense, because it could be that, lately I've just not really felt like drinking. Like, I have zero desire to drink. So if I have zero desire to drink, and I already know that the way you get at times irritates me, it already is setting me up for this irritation. Yeah. Like, I'm just waiting for it to happen and to kick in, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, yep, here we go again.
Yeah.
So we had this conversation so we could try to
get ahead
of this. Yeah. And so we decided it was going to be a code word. We're going to use a code word.
Yeah,
because that's my thing. Is you're like you just need to tell me, and I'm like, no, Kent. I've tried to tell you this before. That doesn't go over well, because what happens? You're usually like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna drink more. Like, it's not. It is a 100%.
Well, yeah, because but I think some of that has to do with the timing, and some of it has to do with delivery. Because by most of the time when that conversation happens, you're already triggered. You're already on a level 10. I'm ready to beat his ass and be in an argument for 3 days. Like, you've already reached that point by the time you say something. So when you're already at that level, saying something and the delivery, all it does is just be like, no, hell no. And then that probably triggers me a little bit more to, whatever. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong either. But I think that that's the key to it is what the conversation we had on Sunday was, how do we try to identify this a little bit earlier and either do it together or you and say one of the recommendations was you say, Kent, I'll bring you a drink. Right? Instead of me being at the bar getting I'll bring you a drink and you wait 20 minutes.
Right.
Or at some point I need to say, okay, I'm going to drink a couple waters and then I'm going to have another drink, whatever. I think the key to it is like, how do we communicate that earlier before you reach that level of aggravation?
I really don't know, because that then goes back into the whole, I'm an introvert, you're an extrovert. So you're like, social butterflying around. It's like, I'm not trying to like follow you around like
Sure.
a little, that like,
I don't need a babysitter.
no, you don't need a babysitter, and I damn sure don't want to be your babysitter. So I don't know, but
it's not like like when we go somewhere, I don't want people thinking like I just disappear for you don't see me for 2 hours.
No.
I'm just not like right there with you, like
right.
right next to you. So, but you could very easily see, okay, he's starting to get to his level. Let me just go over there and say, hey, I'll get the next drink.
I mean, that
I'll go
probably
order
so,
you a Tito's and vodka. And,
Yes.
and you just wait 20 minutes before you go do it. But
yeah. So,
but I honestly, I know like Saturday was a different situation, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Like my desire to drink has not been there as much recently, generally speaking. Now, I was happy to be done with that contract. I was happy the dogs won. We were at a pool party. So, I mean, I probably, drank a good bit that day. But generally speaking, I'm kind of in the same boat. It's like, I don't necessarily have the same desire, but that's neither here nor there. I think the most important part is we just have to be in communication with each other.
yeah. So anyway, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
I guess we're just going to, I guess I'm probably just going to say fuck it. And
I think the last thing not the last thing I'll say on this, but
we had a very good time last year. So there's no reason to think that's going to be any different.
had a great time and we had a great conversation on Sunday. But let's just be honest here.
What?
Outside of you having to drive home, 10% of the time, you have never had to take care of me.
No, I have not.
There have been times where I've had to take care of you.
That is true. That is true.
And it doesn't turn into a fight.
No.
It doesn't turn into...
I mean, now, when I say take care of you, like, okay, we got to go through McDonald's because I know you have to have food before you go to sleep kind of thing. Like,
Sure.
But I don't know. You don't get sick. You're, and it's also...
I don't get sick. I don't feel bad the next day.
You never have hangovers, which is also slightly irritating. But,
you've never had to carry me through a lobby in Las Vegas.
Okay, well, yeah.
You've never had to pull me out of a chair because I just started crying uncontrollably out of nowhere.
I mean, you're not cleaning up throw up, so I would feel like me crying randomly, like, damn, that's nothing.
That cry was more than just a cry. It was a full-on watershed moment. I was like, where?
I think,
but honestly, I love seeing you get like that.
To a cry.
Yeah,
I think you're leaving that part out.
That's fair. But I love. I wouldn't want to see you like that all the time because I would not want to feel like I'm having to babysit my wife either. But I love when you get like that because it's so rare that you just kind of let yourself go like that. And if it means that I have to quote unquote take care of you once every couple of years, I'll do that for the next 100 years. Like that,
and that's probably some of it too. Is I don't like to not be in control of myself that way. Like I like to know that we're taking our car home. I don't want to leave my car places. I want, I know that.
And see, and I'm the opposite. I'm like, let's just get an Uber.
No,
like, what's the big
I don't
deal?
like that. I don't like that. So I think I don't do those. I don't let myself get to those points because of that to some degree.
And because I say, let's get an Uber and you say no, like that causes you to get aggravated with me sometimes.
Well, it causes me to feel like, okay, well, so I guess I'm going to have to be the responsible one then, that you don't care. Well, I do. And you don't care that I care. So I guess I'm going to have to be the one that takes care of it. And that's what I do.
So when we talked on Sunday, how do you think
I thought we got this through.
No,
I thought we were over this.
No, but I want to know, how did we have the conversation? What do you think made this conversation more successful without each other getting defensive and with there having some resolution? We did say we need to create a safe word. right? I think we agreed on that.
Yes.
I can't remember. I come up with some goofy word. I can't remember what it was. Do you
I
remember?
don't know what you came up with.
Like banana nut bread or some stupid thing like that. But so I think that could possibly be helpful. I do think that we said.
I think our code word is probably just going to be code word.
Yeah, let's make it very clear. Code word. I think we agreed that if you see it, that maybe you can kind of take over it a little bit and say, hey, I'll go get the next round or whatever. I do feel like that we said that we'll try to communicate it a little bit earlier without being a jerk, but before you reach a level 10. Because it doesn't matter. Once you've reached a level 10, it does not matter.
Yeah.
I could go stone cold sober for the next 12 hours and it will not matter because you've already reached that level. So I think that's important. So this was all the things that on the conversation on Sunday, we talked through where we would typically, get defensive and get angry and, and then it kind of, you shut down or I shut down and it kind of reaches somewhat of a stalemate. And I think that's why we felt so good about Sunday, because we felt like it was somewhat of a breakthrough.
I think I finally got to the root when we were going over on Sunday. I feel like I probably was finally more honest with you about how I felt about it and said some things to you that I have never said before, because I've always just kind of pushed it under the rug or held it back or, whatever. And I finally am like, okay, we're in a position where we're not arguing, like we're having a true discussion where we're not mad at each other. We're honestly just being open and honest. And I felt like I could finally say it. And, and it needed to be said. So I think that was good.
Well, and we didn't talk about this on Sunday, but I think to add to that, I think that there maybe could be some more action where if that it's hard for me to sit in one place, and that if you're saying, okay, let's dial it back a little bit, that maybe there's an opportunity for you to say, okay, he's only going to dial it back if he's still active and still moving and still talking. So maybe I need to get up and kind of do some of that with him, and then we'll whatever. Versus, okay, you need to dial it back. And you need to sit down here with me, because if I sit down there with you, my night's over.
And have I ever voiced that I expected you to sit down with me? Because I don't.
Well, no. But that's the point, is we're not normally proactive with it. We're normally reactive. And you haven't said that because we're normally reactive. You normally wait till you're at a 10 and then it turns into an argument of some sort. And that's what I'm saying is, like, how do we take a proactive approach to this versus a reactive approach? And a proactive may be, if I'm saying, hey, you need to dial it back, and he has to stop, that he's going to go to sleep, or he's going to be, whatever. So how do you also kind of change your actions and maybe get more active for a period of time? I'm not saying like the rest of the night. I'm not saying, you got to run around the place with me and all this stuff. But I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way to not be shake and bake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think you can be shake and bake. I guess my question just is, why does the shake and bake have to have a drink with it every single time?
I don't know. When you asked me that question, you said, is it just this motion? And I've never really thought about it like that. But I think that there is, and I kind of get back to like a cigarette smoker. I've never smoked in my life, never will. But my parents both did. And I think that there were times where I would talk to them. It was like, okay, after you eat breakfast, cigarette. After you eat dinner, cigarette. After you have sex, cigarette. There are certain things that, like, I think it was as much a habit of just. It's like when people try to stop smoking. A lot of times
Did they tell you they had a cigarette after having sex?
Well, no, but you could smell it in the house. Like if you could smell it. I hated they
the
smoked in the
sex
house.
or the cigarette?
Oh God, no. I hated it when they smoked in the house. And as we got older, they did less of it. But like in the middle of the night, you smell cigarette. You're like, oh, they must have been having sex.
Oh God!
Now maybe I'm making assumptions.
I hope you're making.
I guess
some
I never really
assumptions.
asked, but it just seemed to make sense that was probably.
I mean, you see it in the
probably
movies.
case.
That's probably why you made that assumption.
Yeah. Well, there's even times where after you and I have sex, I'm like, hey, you want a cigarette? Knowing good and well we don't smoke, but it's just it's funny to me because but the point being is, I almost wonder is there as much this I don't know if addiction or habit is the right word, of me going to the cooler, opening it, drinking it, me going to the cooler. You know what I'm saying? I almost wonder, is that as much of a habit as
Yeah, I think it is.
Drinking? Because I even said to Terry, like, I was, I don't know, 3 or 4 beers in, whatever, and I was sitting on the edge of the pool, and I said, I feel perfect right now. And she was like, well, how many have you had? And I'm like, I don't know, probably like 3 or 4. I said, I feel absolutely perfect right now, because I did. It wasn't too much, but it was enough. And I just continued to drink after that. And I think it was like, okay, well, maybe it's because I'm afraid that if I stop, I'm going to lose this perfect, maybe. Or it might be that it's just such a habit to just go and grab and go and grab and go. So I guess, when we ended up talking on Sunday, I think the conversation was, maybe I need to make more of a concerted effort to mix in water, or mix in, Coke Zero, or mix. Yeah. So you still have this movement of something, you're still drinking without,
because I think that's a lot of it for me. Like, I'm not gonna, which I have my water bottle. Like, anybody that sees me anywhere, I'm either gonna have my Corksicle, my Stanley, or like a Stanley cup. You are very rarely ever going to see me anywhere without one of those, because I drink water all day long, all day, all night. And it's somewhat probably of a comfort thing, but I can understand the whole drinking, like having something in your hand to hold. Like, for me, being out, that's a comfort thing. I don't want to just stand there like what do you do with your arm? Like, what do you do with your hands if you don't have a drink in them and you're standing there talking to somebody? Like, it doesn't even make sense. So that makes complete sense.
So I will say this: I appreciate the conversation on Sunday. It's crazy to think that as long as we've been married, we still kind of have these breakthroughs in communication.
Well, I think partly, like, we didn't really do this. I think like from the time we were married until, honestly, like, I feel like till Jackson pretty much went to college, we didn't do this for the most part. Yeah. And so it really was never a conversation that, came up. Like, we would go socially have a drink here or there, but it was we didn't go out places where we were just there for 4 and 5 and 6 hours, like hanging out and drinking and talking or whatever. And so this has just been something for the last 5 to 6, 7 years. I feel like that we've, been through this. And it's always frustrated me, but I don't know that I could never like completely explain to you why. And I think the words finally came to me that just to finally be able to explain it to you.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. I thought it was a great conversation. It opened my eyes up, and I think it kind of helped me finally understand your perspective a little bit more.
I'm not just being a bitch.
And I think you kind of understood my perspective a little bit more. But I am curious. Earlier, you said when I got there to the pool party, I came and gave you a kiss. And
Please, let's talk about this. And then
you were like, we'll talk about that. So what I want to hear
I want to talk about your kiss rule.
Okay. We're going to call it a rule?
You call it a rule.
Yeah, I call it an expectation.
No, you call it a rule.
Okay.
So tell about it.
Okay, I know I'm not the only one who does this. And if I am,
you've got to be the only person.
If I am, y'all need to let me know. But
please let him know.
It is my expectation that whoever enters into the house, we'll use the house. Whoever enters into the house, it's my expectation that person goes to the other person and gives them a kiss. And so if Annie's in the living room and I come home from work, my expectation of myself is I'm going to go give her a kiss, say hey, say whatever. If she's at a restaurant with some girlfriends and I show up at the restaurant, I'm going to go give her a kiss. And my expectation is the same, that if I happen to be home and she comes home from whatever, my expectation is she's going to come and give me a kiss. It does not happen with much frequency. It probably happens more now because over the years she's just, but in my mind, I can't wrap my head around getting home and not wanting to show some sort of affection to your partner. Like I can't. So you can call it a rule.
Like, this is as I'm walking in the door, I should stop and kiss you first before I go and like take my jewelry off, or like, and then come back in the living room nice and comfy.
Well, that's not necessary, because if you came back in the room nice and comfy and you gave me a good kiss, like, I'd be all here for it. But that's not what happens. You come and you go, you do and next thing you know, you're watching, and the next thing you know, it's 20 minutes have gone by, and I'm like, I guess you weren't going to give me a kiss? Like the idea of, so in my mind, when I get home, my first thought is, I mean, obviously the dogs change it. We got to say hey to them first now. But then my immediate thought is, I want to go tell Annie I missed her, basically, by giving you a kiss and showing you some affection. And like the how that doesn't cross your mind. I think it almost hurts my feelings more than anything.
It must, because this happened very early on in our relationship.
Yeah,
this is and that's why I say it's a rule, because when you even first brought it up, you were like, no, it's a rule. And I'm like, no,
like that's gonna be the rule.
It's not a fucking rule. It is not.
But like explain to me when you go somewhere.
It doesn't hit me the same as it hits you, and I've come. I try to do better about it now, because I do know that you do expect it. It's not just expect it; you need it. Whereas
Sure.
I don't necessarily need that.
Can we talk about we talked about the love language a little bit before, right?
I guess maybe.
Words of affirmation, affection, physical touch, all those things are kind of my love language. So I don't think it should be any surprise.
I think you just said all of the love languages.
Well,
what other love
because I'm
languages are there?
probably up there too. I think acts of service is maybe one. Like giving, like I'm not like a gift giver. You know what I'm saying? Like I get
Yes, I know.
I get excited to give you gifts, but that's not necessarily my thing per se. But I guess, like, to me, it just is hard for me to fathom you walking. Like, let's say you've been out all day. I've been out all day. My thought is, when I get home, I can't wait to see her.
And this is one of those things that we didn't realize or know until we lived together. Because when you don't live together, that obviously that's what you're going to do.
Oh yeah, you did it all right. You can hook me. You tricked me, is what I meant to say. No, but that's somewhat of and. You know, there's the whole honeymoon phase and all that stuff. I really and truly believe that I could live in that honeymoon phase the rest of my life. I really and truly feel like that. Now, maybe not like top of the peak, you know, you can't go anywhere without wanting to hump each other honeymoon phase. I don't even think I can maintain that. But the kissing and the doting and the affection and the like, all that stuff, I really and truly feel like I could live there the rest of my life. And like, it's hard for me sometimes because when you don't come in and kiss me or show me that, to me that means she's not thinking about me the same way I think about her. She's not missing me the same way I miss her. She's not in love with me the same way I'm in love with her. That's what that says to me.
And that's valid. That is valid. And I hear you on that. And I'm trying to get better about that, because I think, we talked about it a little bit, I think last week or whatever, about the store and kind of the role I feel like that played, in our relationship. And it got me thinking, and I didn't really say it then, but everybody talks about, your masculine and your feminine energy, and it's 100% a thing. And I believe in it, obviously. And I think the store, I was operating in such a masculine energy all the time. And masculine just means that, I was the one, I had to make all the decisions. I was responsible for everything, and that never turned off. And so it was so hard to turn that off and then turn on this more feminine energy, to the point, like, I feel like it was starting, honestly, to kind of stomp out my feminine energy, if that makes sense. Like, it literally was like, it was so hard to get into that mindset and that mind frame of being more feminine and needing that from you. So I'm working on that, obviously.
No, I appreciate that. And the reason why I like this conversation, this as well as the last one, is because I think it just kind of proves that, like, you can't ever stop communicating. You know what I mean? Like, we've been married September. Hell, this month will be 16 years.
You know what? I think the first years of marriage would have been so much better if we could have communicated this way. I think the whole having his and her kids, God almighty, that all might have been...
That could be an entirely different podcast.
Well, it would be
probably
2 or 3, honestly. But that whole debacle...
Yeah. It lasted years, unfortunately.
Yeah. It could have been possibly so much better to some degree. Yeah. If you know.
But the point being, and I guess I'm saying this to the people who are listening to us, is if you are in a relationship, let's just call it a long-term or even a short-term relationship, like I don't think you can undervalue the power of being able to communicate with your partner and be able to say these things and open up to each other without being defensive, without shutting down, without fighting, all this other stuff.
And just because you're not defensive, and you still might be a little bit defensive, I mean, feelings are going to get hurt. That's not that. And you got to just be strong enough to sit there with that. And I think that's we've probably come a little closer to being willing to do that more. I know I have, and not like I can get my feelings hurt. It's okay. It's, it's temporary, and it's kind of worth it to move through, I think, that conversation.
So look at your partner and say, partner.
We got to call him partner.
Well, I don't know if it's
howdy there,
I don't
partner.
know if it's husband, wife, spouse,
husband,
person that I love. And you just start the conversation, and you guys really, I think if you can kind of really dive into what the true issue is, and I think kind of you hit the nail on the head.
It's got to be a time where it's not
conducive.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head.
Things are heightened.
This time you were able to say some things differently that I heard differently, and I was able to hear things differently because the delivery and everything else. And so it's just communication is so important. There's so many relationships out there, ours included, that stuff just builds and it festers and you don't talk about it. Next thing you know, a level 2 problem turns into a level 8 problem. Next thing you know, it turns into a level 10 problem. And when you get to that point, it might be too late. And even worse is if you're not talking about things, that's probably even more of an issue. That's probably even more of an indicator is if you don't even have the feelings to try to communicate those things.
Well, so I was fixing to interrupt. I mean, we're about out of time. We can't keep these people this long. But
first of all, they are not these people. They are our listeners.
These people. Yeah. But what you just said kind of made me think about the whole empty nest phase for us. I feel like it was relatively easy for us with the empty nest phase. A couple things go into that. That part of that is his and her, kids and the weekends and stuff like that. We always had date time, but the fact that we talk about most everything pretty much. It wasn't like who is a stranger?
Yeah.
Who is this person beside me?
Yeah. Because when some people retire, it's like, okay, I want to keep working until I'm 90, not because I need the money, but because I don't know what to talk about with my wife or whatever. So
anyway, okay, well, this is not exactly where I thought this was going.
When she told me let's talk about this topic, I was like, well, we need to think about 3 or 4 other because there's no way we can talk about this for an hour, and damn sure if we ain't here an hour.
Yeah,
so.
it wasn't exactly what I thought and where it was going. But
I appreciate you. I look forward to our trip. Are we going to try to do a podcast from Key West?
You know what? That's
TBD.
going to be a game time
decision.
A game day decision.
Game day and game time.
Game day and game time. That's also another. You hate when I say that.
No, only when you mess it up. No, just teasing.
Which is every time.
All right, love you guys.
Oh. He was dead asleep until you said
about to have that.
Why are you going to be so loud?
All right.
Well, I love you guys. Oh, no. Okay,
Oh,
one more thing. I'm sorry. Do you have your phone?
Yeah.
We had another, I think, review, and my intent when we started this was to read that before we ever got started.
Yeah.
Okay, so you found it?
Yes. I'm not the best reader, so I'm going to hand it over to you because I'll be fumbling over words. So.
Okay, so this is from Papa Boo 08.
Hashtag.
No,
shout out.
That's not a hashtag. You don't hashtag.
We don't know who that is though, but that's so. If it is you, holler at us.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Because I apparently know him.
So they gave us a 5-star review. It says, real life, real talk. I've known Kent for many years and knew that if he ever had his own podcast, he'd never be anything but himself. Kent and Annie are so much fun to listen to because it's 100% genuine. It's great to learn that what you have going on in your relationship is usually pretty similar to what most people go through. It's okay to disagree, but still maintain a love and respect for each other. I look forward to being a regular listener. So thank you, Papa Boo Bear. Does it say Papa Boo Bear?
Papa Boo 08.
Thank you, Papa Boo. We appreciate that.
We really do. That's obviously the main reason why we wanted to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And so far, I feel like we've done a pretty good job. The feedback has been awesome. We love you guys.
No, actually, oh God, I meant to say this earlier too. I know, but I got.
We're trying to end.
I gotta get out this. So, I was walking the dogs.
Oh,
So
yeah.
people like it's a little strange because you'll be out in public and people are like, oh yeah, I listened to your podcast. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, yay, I'm so happy. But inside I'm like cringe because I'm like,
Now, there's pressure or something.
right,
Yeah.
well, I'm like, oh God, what have I said? You know? And so I was walking the dogs the other morning and literally bending over, picking up poop from my neighbor's yard. And she comes out of the driveway and on her way to work and she rolls the window down and she's like, I listened to the podcast. I love y'all. It like makes my week. And I was like, oh my God, thanks, you know, but inside I'm like, oh my God, this is so cringe. Like, what have I said? And have I just embarrassed the absolute shit out of myself? But I guess that's what I signed up for. So
Listen,
it doesn't matter.
When you become talent, that's just part of it.
Okay, talent. We're going to end on that one. All right. Well, I love you guys.
Love you
Bye.
guys.
Thank y'all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you've liked this podcast, please don't forget to give us a rate and review. It definitely helps push this podcast out to other people just like you, and we really would appreciate that. So we love you guys. Thanks so much.